Far from her homeland of Uganda, where standing up for your rights can be very tough, one woman's voice has risen above the rest. Meet Kasha Jacqueline Nabagesera, a brave advocate for LGBTQI rights. Meet Kasha Jacqueline Nabagesera. She has dedicated her life to fighting for equality and justice. As the founder and leader of Freedom Roam Uganda, FARUG, her journey is a story of courage and resilience, transcending borders.
Kasha Jacqueline Nabagesera Safo is a Ugandan queer feminist woman, born and raised in Kampala, Uganda. I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm an aunt, I'm a football lover, I'm a dog lover. I'm passionate about human rights, anything that violates or abuses justice. I'm there. I'm not boxed just for queer rights, simply because that's not my whole identity. Before I'm queer, I'm a woman. Before I'm a woman, I'm a human being. So I'm an all-round human rights defender fighting for all social injustices.
Kasha's journey was shaped by her experiences growing up in Uganda. She went to several schools after facing expulsion because of her sexual orientation. Despite these challenges, she was determined to get an education, earning degrees in business administration, IT, marketing, and journalism.
For me, it started when I was 19 years at school, and it was the last straw because I almost did graduate from university because I was about to be expelled from university. I'd been expelled from so many schools before simply because of who I was. I've always openly lived gay. First, because I didn't know it was illegal in Uganda. I was ignorant about that. And so my being open about my sexuality caused me lots and lots of troubles, being expelled from school, suspensions, and all this. But when I saw that I almost didn't graduate simply because of the same thing that is following me over and over, I decided to really investigate why is it that every school I go to, I'm facing the same issue, even just writing love letters to fellow girls, I'm facing the same issue. And for me, it was a wake-up call to find out that here I am a university student, but I didn't know it was illegal to be gay in Uganda.
In 1999, Kasha began her campaign to end homophobia in Uganda. Her efforts were not without risk. In 2010, the Ugandan newspaper Rolling Stone published names and photos of people they believed were homosexual, including Kasha and her colleague David Kato, with the headline, "Hang Them." This led to a landmark legal battle that set a precedent for human rights in Uganda.
The newspapers used to write about me all the time. Lesbian party animal is at the beach today, is at this club today. So I realized that this was something bigger than what I expected. And so when I found out that it was illegal to be gay, I decided to really investigate what I can do about it. And that's when I discovered it was also illegal in other African countries and other parts of the world. So for me, that shook me, it took me aback, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm actually lucky I've not yet been, been in prison. And because I was very open about my sexuality, I didn't know the words of closets and all this. These are terms I just learned when I became an activist. I didn't know they existed. I didn't know someone had to be in the closet. Someone had to come out. I'd never heard of such terminologies. So that was the beginning of my investigation into my sexuality and the laws in Uganda. And since then, I never turned back. I decided to talk to my friends. I'd already made a group of people because I was always in the media because of my social life. was always in the media. And so people identified with me always came looking for me in different party places. And so when the university made it clear that I had to be on the roster for new students, freshmen, that they had to warn freshmen from associating with me, I saw that was really a big, something very big. I said I need to do something about it. And so that was the beginning of my interrogation into LGBT activism. I spent all the time on internet cafes. They were very expensive at that time. I'm talking about 1999. And so I would spend all my pocket money on internet studying and learning about these laws and why it's illegal, what happened and all that. And so for me, over the years, I started making new friends. It was still a social movement, partying, and the newspapers kept, writing about us in every Monday morning. We were always in the newspapers. And the tabloids had begun in Uganda. And the tabloids really took advantage of my situation because they would come and lie about what I did, and I had to pay to prevent myself from being published. And so I decided that I needed to do something about it. I told my friends, and everyone was in shock that I didn't know it was illegal. My friends thought I was just being stubborn. Oh, my friends are like, your parents already know who you are because of being expelled from different schools. And I told them I didn't know it was illegal. I thought people were just, against me. I thought the boys at school were just against me because I used to hit on their girlfriends. But then I realized this was bigger than myself. And so that was the beginning. I talked to some of my friends who were very willing, and many of them actually disassociated from me because they knew that if I start going even more public about it, because now I was getting out of social to political. So they realized that it would be dangerous for them. So some put a distance between me and them. And others were like, we are ready to stand with you, but not in front. And we shall stand with you together, but in the background. And so for me, that was really the beginning of my transition from social activism, partying, because my visibility was already social activism. People reading about this crazy girl up and down kissing women in public and all this without care and all this. So it made so many people inquisitive into my life. And so people started coming to me, newspapers started coming to me, but in a bad way, not in a good way. They were in a way of exposing us, to the society, to ridicule us. So that was the beginning, really. So when we became political in 2003 was when we started now forming organizations to really bring people together, because even now the media was starting to change from being just social tabloids just attacking us about our party animal ways. They were now talking about us recruiting children and all that kind of stuff. Terminologies I've never even heard of, that you have to recruit people because the people who were around me were people who identified with me. People came all the way from different countries, even from Rwanda, Burundi. People would come and say, we read about you. I had to run away from home because my parents found out I was like this. People here in Uganda from different schools were being punished for the same thing. So people actually identified with me and they came looking for me. And that's how slowly by slowly I began building a movement. But when I look back today, 25 years ago, I never expected this to actually be what it is today. Because for me, I was like, I'm tired of these schools expelling people from, students from schools simply because they're writing love letters. That was happening to me. I was tired of it. And yet for me, my parents were very welcoming. And yet my friends' parents were disowning them, were stopping to pay their school fees. So I said, something has to be done. I talked to my mother and she opened her home office to me and my friends. And we started building a movement through the house and also the internet cafes. And slowly by slowly, we started building a movement.
But today, the landscape of the LGBTQI community in Uganda remains full of challenges. The passing of anti-gay laws has made the struggle even harder, forcing many to flee for their safety. So how bad is the current situation for the LGBTQI community in Uganda?
Of course, there's a lot of fear because when I left in August, I was coming for medical treatment. This is 2022. I was coming for medical treatment. But by then they had already closed SMAG. SMAG is just 500 meters away from my own house. And other organizations are also in the area. So when they closed SMAG, I was like, I need to be in better shape to come back and fight this, because this is just the beginning. And then I thought I'd just come and within a month or two have my surgery and go back. Little did I know, if you're not a citizen, things stay forever and forever. Imagine since August 2022, I've only just had my surgery recently. But what is happening back home, it's not like it's something new, because we've been in this environment 10 years ago when we also had the anti-homosexuality bill passed into law and assented to by the president. But what is different this time is that people are more aware than the first time. There was a lot of media coverage of the bill, which was misinforming the public. Very many people in the public, very many people in the masses actually supported the bill without really knowing the entails of the bill. Many people did not know that this bill was just given a name, anti-homosexuality, just to attract attention. They did not know that this bill was actually affecting all Ugandans, every single one of Ugandans, because it had clauses where you had to report your neighbors, your landlord had to evict you from their homes, our allies, and all this media being censored. And so many people just supported it for the mere fact that it had that title of anti-homosexuality bill, because of the connotation that comes with homosexuality in our country. So the climate and the environment is really tense. We've reported the highest violations and abuses of human rights within our community than 20 years added together in just 1 year. More and more people have been illegally detained. More and more people have been evicted. We have the highest rate of homelessness compared to over 20 years ago. We've seen so many people being displaced and forced into exile. We've seen so many LGBT people cross into neighboring countries, Zambia, Sudan. As for Kenya, it's like an exodus. People are running away for their safety. So really, the environment is not good at all. It's going to get worse, because this is not only happening in Uganda. We are seeing that even Kenya is proposing the same law. Just yesterday, Ghana passed the law, and we are seeing other countries also following suit. Uganda didn't set a good precedence, and now even with our appeal in the Constitutional Court, we are worried that it might the passage of Ghana's bill might affect the outcome of our petition in the Constitutional Hill. So this anti-gay wave that is sweeping the continent is really very worrisome, because we are still having to deal with one country. Now we have to rush to another country, because we have to share skills, knowledge, and resources to see to it that we help each other as a continent. Because we are not all going to be safe at any one point if all of us are not safe. We've seen that for over the last, 20, 25 years, South Africa has had very progressive laws. But has that helped the other parts of the continent? It hasn't. Instead, we are seeing rise of violations and abuse of hate crimes in South Africa. So this is not an isolated issue of Uganda and Ghana. This is an African issue that has to be tackled as a Pan-African issue. And so I'm very worried that we are still having to deal with all the atrocities that are happening to the LGBT community in Uganda. And now we have to worry about what is going to happen, or what is already now starting to happen in Ghana. And let's not forget that Kenya is also thinking about the same. Tanzania is also, Malawi is also thinking about the same. So it's really, really devastating to see that instead of moving forward as a continent, especially in human rights, in democracy, in rule of law, we're actually just going backward. It's very devastating.
Patriarchal norms and lingering colonial-era laws still significantly influence the legal treatment of LGBTQI individuals in numerous African countries, resulting in widespread discrimination and violence. How have these patriarchal norms shaped the legal framework affecting LGBTQI individuals across the African continent?
First of all, it's common knowledge that Africa is a patriarchal society. And so we know that most of the people in power are men. And when they hear that there are this kind of people who are different, homosexuals or trans people, they think that we're actually here trying to demean, the manpower or, the structure of the modern, tradition of family. Because they imagine how does a man lay over with another man. They believe that these men are demeaning them. They believe that gay men are demeaning them to lay with other fellow men, and they believe that the women are trying to impose. They think that being a lesbian, I'm trying to be a man, trying to impose my sexuality on them. So with that, it comes with a lot of anger. It comes with a lot of ignorance. Comes a lot with bigotry, and so in a way for them to control. They have the tools to control. They have the resources to control. And that's why we say that if you realize that people who are actually bringing all these laws, who are coming up with all these doctrines, are mostly men, and because they feel that their power is being trampled upon, they feel that we are coming and we are after the dismantling of the patriarchal system. And for me, I blame all this on the way our African society is programmed. Uh, where when we need to be sensitized, where we need to be to create awareness, where we need to be educated, all these places are being censored by our different governments. And then the people who are in the opposition, the political leaders, the bigots, the fundamentalists, the religious extremism, their platforms are open to continue to create, to spread their hatred, their ignorance, their all that kind of fundamentalism and extreme thinking. But when some of us come out to speak out about different kinds of, especially sexuality, we're brought up growing up in the African context that issues of sexuality are never discussed in public. So they feel that when some of us come out and talk about these things freely in the open, they think that we've been influenced by the Western world. Yet, when you go back into our history, unfortunately, most of our history has been distorted. Most of our history was never, recorded. As you know, in African culture, people were used to just sitting around the fire and a tree and just talk all morning, but many people were not actually there recording. And that's how some of our history has been distorted over the years. But now, some of us who have managed to say that we need to talk about these things freely. There are some people out there who are suffocating with the unknown. They think that we've been influenced by the Western world, forgetting that actually the West to come here and starting to bring all these laws, it's because they found homosexuality in Africa. Because you cannot go and start criminalizing something that you have not seen that exists. Our history is very clear on the issues of human sexuality when it comes to homosexuality, bisexuality, and even transgenderism. It is very clear in African societies. They were always known. They were always never criminalized until we got all these colonial lumpen imperials that came to African continent and imposed their laws. And it was a way for them to control us. They got the Bible and others. But it's very unfortunate that Africans now are relying on the imported religion to stigmatize and discriminate against their own people. And then you see educated people that we elect in our parliaments, people who have studied, people even who have studied human sexualities, people who have studied, who know that actually what they are doing is wrong, is criminal, but they go ahead with impunity to criminalize simply someone who is loving different from them. So for me, I see this as being used as a weapon of destruction towards another community, because that's the only way you get power, by dehumanizing other people. And we've seen this working in military authoritarian regimes around the world. Look for a scapegoat, and then you'll get power. And this is what is happening on the country, on the continent. But you look at the people who are always proposing this anti-gay law. It's like they're trying to show their masculinity. They're trying to show their kind of power. I'm a man. How do I live with another man? How will they see me? So whoever else does that must be punished. And other people, it's because they're trying to hide away their own internal feelings because they feel that they cannot stand proud and open to be who they are, like some of us. So with the internalized homophobia, it's pushing them to hate on others who are free and open about who they are. So there are many, many factors that are bringing about all this issue. There's patriarchy, there's internalized homophobia, there's ignorance, and there's also jealousy.
Kasha's activism goes beyond legal battles. Through Freedom Roam Uganda FARUG, she has started many grassroots programs to support and empower the LGBTQI community.
Yes, for starters, I started this movement as a student at university. I was very young and naive myself. I didn't know what the law was all about. So that is one of the first things I started. A movement like the LGBT movement in a country like Uganda, very conservative. And in the times when I started it, where we didn't even have social media, we didn't have internet, it was unheard of. And some people, that's why up to today they think that I'm crazy and nuts. But over the time, I've managed to bring people together from different walks of lives, people on sexuality, by being open about who I am, talking in media, talking on TV. Even the first time I appeared on TV, there was an uproar, even just in the Medium front page, and that even it provoked the birth of the anti-gay movement in Uganda, where protests and $1 million marches were organized because and the religious leaders were like, how can we be given this platform to be on front pages of national newspapers talking about our indecency and all this? So for me, the visibility is one of the things I've done for the grassroots because it has helped someone who is deep down there, somewhere in the rural area, who has been told that they have demons for simply being different. But when they see me somewhere on TV, in the newspapers, or they hear me on the news, they know that they are not alone. There are people who are like them. We grew up being told that we have demons or that we are possessed simply because we love differently. So for me, that is one of the things, the visibility that I've brought onto the LGBT movement and the mere fact that I've mobilized people to come. Today, I don't have to be in Uganda or to be the only one speaking out. There are so many people who have been motivated by me to join the struggle, to speak out. Some are on the front line, some are still in the closet, but we all have different parts to play in this movement. We cannot all be on the front line. I've managed to bring pride to Uganda. It hasn't been easy, and it will never be easy for as long as we still have criminalizing laws. But the mere fact that people know that at least they can stand up and spend just 1 week just being who they are, reflecting on what they go through every day and what is to come, making friends and meeting friends. Organizations are so many right now, supporting and giving different redress to different causes in the LGBT movement. We've been able to build a very strong national NGO consortium of human rights defenders, feminists, activists, health, and all this coming together and standing with us because we've always known that you cannot win these struggles. Any social justice movement cannot win their struggles on their own. And we've been very clear from the beginning of that we need to work with other movements. Let's not only speak out when it's an issue of LGBT. When you see that journalists are being attacked, go out there and support them. When you see women are being raped and murdered and abducted, go there. When you see opposition leaders being brutally banded up on pickups of unknown cars by the regime, go there and support. So for us, that has always been something that I've always talked about, encouraged my fellow activists that we have to stand up for all injustices. We cannot only stand up and speak when it happens to an LGBT person or to our movement. I'm very proud that I've managed to put a security committee in place because not all people in the community are known by the international community or are known by human rights organizations that they'll come to their rescue. But we as organizations, as activists, we have a duty to protect the members that we represent. And the members, not all are frontline like some of us. We have so many actors of this movement that underground that sit on the desks and help us navigate all these political arenas. What happens to them when they're being attacked? Who is going to come to their rescue? So I've managed to help build that campaigns, nationwide campaigns. We are not yet quiet. Before, the media was using our stories as a way of ridicule. Today, the same media that used to expose us as LGBT people, exposing our homes, our workplaces, the cars we drive, so that people can come and attack us, are the same people who are actually coming to us for stories to put. It's now the other way around because they have nothing else to give up because we've opened our own media platform. Culture Times is there to give people to understand, to create awareness, to change the mindsets. Because even if we fight for these laws to change and the mindsets of the people are not yet changed, we are simply going to continue to get the attacks, to face the backlashes and all this. So we are doing to decriminalize, but also change the mindsets of the masses that we are going to. Because if we can win those two hand in hand, we can create a much more safer place for us. It's not going to be a bed of roses because there's nothing like that in this world, even in other countries where the laws are progressive and all this, we always see something happening. There are always those kinds of people who are always trying to, to bring out that hatred, to bring out that homophobia, transphobia, that phobia towards people who are different from them. That will never get away from this world. So for me, I'm very proud to know that I don't have to always be there for the world to know what is happening on the LGBT movement. And I'm not yet done. I'm still continuing. But as I said, for me, I'm an all-rounder. I'll continue to fight for any injustice around the world, wherever I am. I don't have to be in one place to fight for any of that. Like today, my heart bleeds for the people of Ghana because I've been there. I've seen what that can cause. And I know that this wave of anti-gay laws is just the beginning, it's still continuing. And that's why we have to hold the importers of this homophobia to Africa. This is the 21st century, for goodness sake. We need to hold these so-called American evangelists that come to our countries and use the little dollars they have to spread all this propaganda into the mindsets of our politicians. We know there's also invisible powers behind all these anti-gay laws. We are seeing politicians fronting these anti-gay laws. We are seeing religious leaders fronting these anti-gay laws. But we all know that there is always the invisible powers. Every country, every activist, every group in different countries should sit down and interrogate this question: who are the invisible powers behind these anti-gay laws? In Uganda, we already know it's the first lady who is the invisible power. She'll sit back there and let all these politicians put their faces on all this and what. But we know she's the person who connected the Ugandan parliament and politicians to the family network in the US. Recently, she hosted this woman, very dangerous woman, who is going around the world spreading all these anti-gay messages and all this, Sharon Slater. So we know, and it's time for us now to start really doing research on these anti-gay movements. We have to hold them accountable because this is not going to stop. We're supposed to be making strides and moving forward. We are seeing other countries making strides, and that is a bonus from us, and we should learn from them. But we also have to remember that we've seen countries, Sweden, where sterilization up to date is still a big issue. We are seeing countries like in America, trans rights are being trampled on. Over the last, I think, 6 months, over 275 bills related to trans rights have all been overturned. So really, it's a continuous fight, unfortunately. It's very tiring. It's exhausting. But what to do, because you cannot sit back and feel sorry for yourself. You just have to continue to do it. That's the unfortunate thing.
Uganda has grappled with substantial hurdles in embracing and comprehending the LGBTQI community. For Kasha, these challenges have been deeply personal, yet they've also served as vital navigational tools amidst the resistance to LGBTQI rights in Uganda.
Personally, apart from limited movements, because you always have to watch your back. I know so many people, especially on social media. I've had so many stalkers in the past. I've been attacked physically in the past. For me, I can't compare what I've gone through with the people I represent. And that's why I use my privilege to stand out for others, because I had a loving family, an open family that welcomed me, that welcomed many of my colleagues and community members that were disowned by their families, that had been chased away from their schools, that were homeless. So for me, I used my privilege as a person, as a queer person, to actually open doors and speak out for others who couldn't. So I can't compare my situation to other people's situation. For me, my situation has been, because I'm very political and out there, I've annoyed so many people that have attacked me physically. Landlords have been forced to evict me by neighbors and all that, because of my flamboyant lifestyle and all that kind of stuff, hosting gay weddings and gay parties at my house, giving a safe space to my community. But I've been really hurt on so many occasions, because I no longer walk out of my house freely. I have to go out in a tinted car, because I'm trying to avoid the neighbors knowing that I live there, because of what has happened to me in the past. When the neighbors get to know that I live there, they start saying that they are worried about their children. I'm going to recruit their children and all this. So that limitation that you have to always, you can't move alone, you always have to move with someone, you have to move in a safe car. That kind of limitation is something that a normal human being shouldn't live with 24/7. You always have to watch your back. I've had stalkers. I've had so many trolls on social media. Up to today, even just you write something, even small, a lot of that. But for me, all my life has been devoted for others. Because if I was only fighting for Kasha's rights, trust me, I think I would have already attained them. But it doesn't work like that. So I just have to continue to make sure that I fight for my community. I try to fight and protect the people I represent. Not all of them can sit in front of a camera and say who they are. Not all of them can sit and watch a gay movie in their homes. And that's why we started the Social Friday at FARUG, so that people can be able to come to the resource center and be able to watch movies that they cannot watch with their families. That's why we started our own clinic, so that people can openly talk about who their sexual partners are, so they can be able to be treated well, which is very uncommon in mainstream hospitals. You cannot go and say, unless you're Kasha, because I've done that in mainstream hospitals. I've said, I sleep with women, this is what is happening. And of course, this one doctor runs out and tells the whole ward, the whole hospital, and then everyone starts somehow caring, not because they really care for you, but because they want to have a look at you. So everyone comes in, oh, are you okay? And all this, pretending to care, but because someone has told them I have a lesbian in my hospital. We don't want our people to go through that. And that's why we open our own small clinics to deal with people's issues. We've seen some of our members who have gone to many hospitals, and when they dare to be truthful about their sexual partners, they've actually been sexually harassed themselves. Others have actually been thrown out of medical facilities because they are openly gay and they cannot be treated. So we have these things happening on a daily, every day there's something happening every day. If it's not an illegal, it's a rape. If it's not an eviction, it's a homelessness. If it's not a sexual act, every day, that every time you get a notification on your phone, your heart starts pounding. Why do we have to live like that? Uganda is big enough. Africa is big enough for all of us to coexist. If we've been very clear that if you find any member of our community or anyone who claims to be a member of a community doing anything against the law, we shall be the first people actually to stand and make sure that the law takes its course. But if you, for example, in COVID, we had over 2,000 cases of young girls who have been impregnated by their brothers, by their uncles, by their fathers, compared to sexual cases of homosexuality in um, in families. But we never saw a bill coming out to criminalize such acts. But they say they're here protecting children. Who is protecting the heterosexual children? Well, who is protecting children from heterosexuals? We already have a law on our penal code. Where is there a need to bring another law? Why don't they bring other laws to protect children from heterosexual assaults? So it really baffles me to see that people care so much about a child, as they say, simply because a child has been abused by someone perceived to be heterosexual. What is the difference? A child is a child. Any abuse is abuse. We have so many children on the streets. We have so many children who need care and love and homes. When I tried to adopt a child in Uganda, I went through the worst treatment I've ever gone through. I sat on the commission of the Ministry of Gender with all these 12 people, commission of this, commission of this. After 3 years of going through the whole process, step by step, that even the social workers gave a full report and said this would be a loving family. We've been on this case for 3 years, step by step, and everything is clear. And then they sit and say that their best interests are in the child's, and I'm not fit to have a child simply because I love different. And yet, everything, because they said my report was too good to be true, so they had to dig and find out who is this person. And then they find out this is Kasha, the gay activist. And being gay is simply just who I am. But I'm an accountant. I'm a pig farmer. I'm an activist. I'm an aunt. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. How is that going to stop me from loving and caring for a child? I have resources. I can take care of one child from all the many children that are looking for homes. And they told me this is what is going to happen. For a period of the next 3 years, I would just even be there and they just pop into my house anyhow. And I'll let them be. Because I knew they were doing their job to find out. And then I sat in front of this commission of this, commission of this, commission of this, minister of this, 12 of them. They called for a big meeting, only to ridicule me. So you see, this is what we go through simply for loving different. If you find Kasha with a child, Jesus Christ, I would put Kasha myself in front of the law. If I find Kasha violating another human being who has not consented, whether a child or not, I would put Kasha there myself. But if I don't tell you that I'm gay, can you even tell that I'm gay? So why should you even criminalize what I do in my private life? Why? Do we know what people do in their bedrooms? Why should we police people's bedrooms? And now we are seeing laws simply because someone suspects you of being gay. They can easily blackmail you. They can easily, extortion. We've seen political rivals using this to target others. So this is just opening actually different avenues of harassing every citizen of our country. It's a shame. But for me, I'm proud of giving my community a space to a movement for them to be able to hook up, to mingle, to get resources that they wouldn't easily access, especially when it comes to health. People have met their lifetime partners through the safe spaces that we've created in our movement. People have gone back to school because they were disowned their parents, or we've managed to put those programs in place, economic empowerment, because, when you have some money, some people cannot step on you. So we've managed to do some economic empowerment programs so that we can empower our own community, so that we can even be able to sustain our own movement. We can't always rely on donor funding for us to be able to really achieve our objectives and goals. Because we all know our bigger mission is decriminalization. It's not going to take away all the problems we are having, and that's why we continue to create awareness and change the mindsets. But we also need to take away that law, because many people are carrying out these atrocities because of the impunity they have with that law on the books.
Kasha's relentless efforts have not gone unnoticed. She has received many awards, including the Martin Annals Award for Human Rights Defenders in 2011 and the Right Livelihood Award in 2015, recognizing her unwavering commitment to justice and equality. What do these awards and recognitions mean for her and her cause?
For me, I've built a network. It's a triumph to build a network around the world that that reminds you that you're not alone in this struggle. A network that not only supports you financially or morally, but emotionally. You cannot go to many of these countries and you fail to have someone who will take you out for coffee, for a dinner, or just to sit and laugh with you, just to forget a bit of what you're going through. At the Triumphs, I've been acknowledged. My work has been acknowledged around the world. And for me, that is a very great achievement, because if your work, if other people see the good in what you do, it motivates you to continue doing it. I've been blessed. That so many organizations around the world have actually acknowledged my work, and that motivates other people back home to join the struggle, other activists to join the struggle, because they know that we are on the right track. We're on the right track. Yeah. Sometimes you can do something and then you wonder, but am I really on the right track? Is what I'm doing really the right thing to do? But when you see all this, when you receive these recognitions, these blessings, you pat yourself on the back and say, I'm on the right track. I'm on the right track. Even when you feel down, you get the energy to stand up.
Kasha offers valuable insights into the current legal landscape for the LGBTQI community in Uganda, highlighting how these legal factors inform her advocacy efforts. She also outlines her vision for reforms aimed at enhancing rights and protections for LGBTQI individuals within the country.
My experience with the legal framework in Uganda is that we tested it in 2005. It was our first time to test the legal framework. We wanted to see what happens if an openly gay person goes to court in Uganda. And so far, we've been lucky. We've been lucky because the judiciary has shown its independence over the years. Even where it didn't show its independence, we knew why it did that, and we went back to use the same courts, the same legal framework to actually challenge them. I've been in so many cases myself, and that's why it's even when they were pretending to debate the anti-homosexuality bill 2023, and they were quoting on this case and that case and that case, but in their brains they couldn't really see that there's a precedence over the years that these laws cannot stick on our books. So for me, the legal context is that we have to continue using it until we exhaust every instrument in it. Let's not shy away from it. Even when we lose some cases, it's already a triumph that even we managed to get there. When we started in 2005, it was very hard for us even to get one lawyer in Uganda to stand with us. we had to use Amnesty International contacts to help us identify a human rights lawyer in Uganda who was willing to stand for LGBT activists. Today, we have many who are actually coming on their own without being called. So that is an improvement. That is something that we are proud of. When we were starting to get even one lawyer, and we didn't even have resources to do that we had to use international organizations like Amnesty International to help us look for the resources, look for the lawyers to stand with us. So we are fortunate that over the years, we've managed to continue building on this consortium of lawyers. And over, we are seeing even members of parliament who are lawyers are now even joining us in some of these legal cases. They've joined us before, they're continuing to join us. And we're even seeing other human rights activists who are lawyers who are saying, I don't even need to be paid. I just want to see justice. I just want to see justice. And they come and join the legal teams and all this. They're telling over the years, we've been training our community on how to document human rights violations and abuses. And we've been telling them, nothing is small. Keep them, let it be a text message. Let it be these trolls on social media. Keep the screenshots because tomorrow they might wake up and take them. Keep this strong. Record quietly and securely anything that is happening in your community. We need all this for us to be able to put together a case for decriminalization. We need to show a pattern that has been going on. So the legal framework, for example, what has happened in Ghana is really worrisome for me because it might affect the impact of our petition. Many people may not see that, but it's definitely going to impact the outcome of our petition. So as usual, we are already now starting to prepare for another battle. While we support our friends and siblings in Ghana, we also have to know the impact this is going to cause on our petition, while we also think of our siblings in Kenya, because now this is also going to motivate their unruly MPs to go forward. That is why for us as activists in Uganda, we called for very strong sanctions on Uganda. It was not just to protect Uganda, it was to protect the whole continent from other countries from following suit. Because if they see what is happening to Uganda, we expect them not to take the same direction. And that's why we're lobbying for sanctions, so that we avoid this from sweeping the whole continent. And we're going to continue. We are going to continue because we have to stop this. We must stop this. Come what may, come and buy and buy.
In her advocacy, Kasha not only reveals the struggles of Uganda's LGBTQI community, but also shares her vision for change. What does she want people to understand about LGBTQI individuals in Uganda? And what hopes does she hold for their future? Kasha Jacqueline Nabagesera's story is one of perseverance and unwavering resolve. Her relentless pursuit of equality continues to galvanize supporters within Uganda and globally. Even in the face of adversity, her voice shines as a beacon of hope and bravery.
I want to thank the world for always standing with the Ugandan LGBT community. We wouldn't have done so much without your support, without your encouragement, without your friendship. And I also want to remind you not to do harm. Always consult the activists on the ground. Activists on the ground know what is best for them. They know what action is best for a particular situation. They know what strategy to use for a particular call. That's why it's always great when you want to support to always contact the people who are going through this directly. So I want to thank you so much. And I want to let you all know the truth of the matter is urgently still need a lot of financial support. Many people think because we are always in the news, the whole world knows us, that there's a lot of financial resources coming in. There's nothing coming in. What we have is very limited. The cases are overwhelming. We are feeling hopeless, to be honest. Receiving inboxes every day from your colleagues telling you, Kasha, as you're there, have you met some funders who are willing to support this? Kasha, as you speak, as you move, are you talking to people? We need this. Most of our offices have been closed. We have to remember that. So we are mobile, we are working mobile. We need resources to reach people in different places because people no longer have offices, resource centers where to go to. It was easier before to have a resource center where different people came in, but now it's us to continue going in different directions. We are going to miss out on so many people because of resources. And so many people are even going to fear leading us to their homes because it might expose them. So having mobile services is very, very expensive. Homelessness is a very major, major problem. I had to turn my house when I left Uganda into a shelter until I go back because people need a place to stay in. People have been disowned. People have been evicted. We have to turn even the corridors so that people can have a roof, a safe place for them to put their heads onto, and then we think about tomorrow. We really, really need resources, but not only just financial resources, the emotional support. Don't call or reach out to Kasha only simply because you need an interview or you need to know what is going on. Check on Kasha just to say hello. We need technical support because there's a lot of trolls on social media. We are having hackers pulling down our websites on a daily basis. In a day, Kuchu Times Media Group has over 3,025 on a day. Hackers trying to pull down our website because we are the only online media. We are the only media house. So really, I want to thank everyone who has stood with us. And I want to thank you, Shangazi, for the opportunity to share my plight with the world. Alota continua.